So today we are going to be talking about the 100K spiritual business plan, okay? The plan that we need to have if we want to hit this goal in 2026. And I think it's a great class to start this year with, and also this challenge with, right? So I've been giving a lot of thought to this very crazy goal I have given myself of trying to help 100 spiritual practitioners hit this number in the next year, okay? And so we're starting from the beginning, right, to make sure we're all on the same page. It is a crazy goal, but I'm glad you guys are in it. You're in it with me, okay? You're in it with me. So let's, I'm going to go show you the entire system, and this is going to be the anchor for everything we're going to talk about in all of the classes, and we're going to refine it as we go. The guys who are in the Destiny program with me, our calls are going to be focused on the application of this, right? So I'm kind of trying to separate content from application so that you guys can go a little bit faster with my support, right? But everyone's going to get all of the things. This is my plan. So let me show it to you. Let me show it to you. I'm going to share my screen. Right, so this is the plan. This is the plan that we are going to be following, okay? It's what I call the frequency first business system. And it might look a lot on the page, but we're going to break it down and we're going to go sort of one by one, okay? So we're going to start from the top, okay? So hopefully you are all trying to achieve some version of this, right? Which is you want to create impact, you want to create an income, right? And you also want independence, right? People call this freedom, autonomy, and I know a lot of us are neurodivergent, so we don't like listening to people, okay? So this is quite important in terms of what we're trying to go for. And I think the number, I'm focused on 100K, it's a nice round number, but actually this can take you beyond that for sure, right? It can definitely take you beyond that. So this is, hopefully we're all aligned on the goal. At least you are very, very clear on what is it that you're trying to achieve, because this definitely is going to impact the way that I'm teaching this, okay? All right, I'm moving between screens. So the other key aspect, right, of how we're going to be doing this are 4 key things, right? These are really the hallmark of this system. And if you have been following me and working with me for a while, you will know that my big thing is how we blend spirit and strategy, okay? We are not just doing one, we're doing both of them together, okay? So we are going to be talking about spirit, strategy, and skill, as well as stamina, right? Because what I have discovered is that if you have been doing a lot of let me try and manifest my business being successful and it hasn't worked for you, say you've been doing that for 6 months and it hasn't worked, that normally means you need more strategy. If you have been like executing the strategy, showing up consistently every day and it hasn't worked, that normally means you need more alignment or you need more belief, okay? And if you've been doing both of those things and nothing is happening, that's normally a skill gap, okay? And then we're going to need the energetic capacity to hold all of this. So this is key, and we'll be talking more about this over the coming weeks, all right? But today, we're going to be talking about these key elements. These are the 5 key things that you need in your business plan, okay? So this class today is going to be a bit more of a strategy class, right? What are all the key components that you're going to need to execute on in order to get to this number, right? And so as we're going through this, what I want you guys to do, and we did this a little bit in our onboarding call, right, for the guys who are in the Destiny program, is as I'm going through this, I want you to consider whether you have these aspects in your business already and give yourself a score between 1 and 5, okay? Do not use 3, use between 1 and 5, and 1 is you don't feel like you've got it or it's really nailed down, and 5 is, yeah, I'm doing this really well and I've got this in my business, okay? And if you want to, as we're going through, you can put in the chat where you feel that you are. Then at the end, once I've gone through all of these, I'll take a few questions for clarifications or anything like that. Okay, give me a thumbs up if you're with me and you're like, I understand the plan. Great, wonderful. So let's start with vibration, okay? So vibration is number one. It's the frequency first business system, because I have discovered through experience and working with a number of clients that this is the thing that you need to get right first. And if you've seen the class on how to match the vibration of 100K spiritual business, you'll know some of this already. If you haven't watched it, I really encourage you to go and watch it. But in summary, we want to make sure that we feel like we are a vibrational match for the revenue number that we are targeting this year, okay? And what that means in practice is that that number doesn't feel like it's above us, and the number doesn't feel like it's below us, right? In particular, you want to feel like you are a match for 100K coming through your business, right? And this is some of the nuance of it, because you might feel like you're a match to that if you already have a 9 to 5 and you already earn that, okay? But you want to be comfortable with this coming through your business, number one. Number two, you want to feel comfortable with this coming through aligned with the business model, okay? And what I mean by that is there's a very big difference vibrationally between saying, I'm going to make all of that from one client in the next year, okay, with a super, super high ticket offer, versus I'm going to make that with, I don't know, 100,000 people buying a $10 offer. I don't know if the maths is right, guys, but you know what I mean, okay? So those two things are very, very different, and we're going to feel more aligned with one thing in particular than we are with another. Why is this important? This is important because it is going to influence the pricing that we go for and the business model that we go for, okay? So I want you to really think about, how aligned am I with this number? Do I feel like it's currently above me or it's below me? And for those of you who haven't seen that class, for it to be below you, it is because you look down on this for some reason, right? And a lot of spiritual practitioners do this. We think that we are above money. Sometimes we have vibrated ourselves out of money because we think that money is bad, for example. We judge ourselves, these kind of things, okay? So I want you to think about that. Am I a match? Give yourself a 1 to 5 in the comments, okay? The other reason why this is important is if you are still in corporate, and you have a 9 to 5, okay, you need to think about, how are you going to have a business model that aligns with the current situation that you are in? And my thinking on this has really evolved, actually, from working with a few different clients, because most of us will start one-to-one. We're doing some kind of one-to-one business, which is fine. But if at some point you're thinking about either doing some kind of digital product, whether it's a course or you want to do a scaled program, I really think that you should start thinking about doing that now, because that is actually going to give you the highest leverage for your time, and then you can spend the rest of your time doing marketing, right? If you've only got a small window of time because you have not just a 9 to 5 but a high demand 9 to 5, okay, which means that you're probably working 7 till 7, okay, or even more, or you're doing different shift patterns. Like, you need to have something that works a little bit with that, okay? So that is vibration. We want to get that right. Okay. So number 2 then is, you want to have an irresistible destiny offer. Okay. And I feel that for most of us in this community, this is the thing that we really need to spend time focused on. Because if this isn't right, none of the other things are right. Okay. So a destiny offer does 4 things. 1, it is in integrity to your story, right? So what you have overcome personally in your life and you can speak to. It leverages your skills, so your professional skills, your qualifications, your education, and your spiritual gifts, right? And that's quite important in combining those 2 things together, because either way, we're going to be leaving something off the table if we're leaving some of ourselves on the table, okay? So you want to have a combination of those things. You want to be targeting your natural sphere of influence. So when you think about your niche, I think people make niching very complicated. But a niche is a combination of a problem and a person, right? But when you're thinking about the people who you are helping, you want to be helping people that within your sphere of influence. Why do I talk about this? I think one of the challenges some people have, particularly those who are being convinced to sell super high ticket, for example, is those people are not even in your sphere of influence, and so you can't target them appropriately, okay? Or you like the idea of someone else's offer, but that is completely targeted at a person who doesn't have any resonance with you, okay? So the sphere of influence is important. The fourth element of this is solving a problem. And this is what I think has really, really changed in 2026, okay? Because some of the stuff you would have heard before. But the thing that I think really, really changed, particularly last year, I can't believe I'm to 2025. It was like yesterday, but you know, like last year, okay, this is what I think has really changed. We now need to be solving not just any problem, but what I call life and death problems. Life and death problems and creating life-changing outcomes. Why is this? Well, people feel like they have got less money, okay, but they also feel like they have more problems, and they are still spending money, but they are spending it on things that they consider to be critical, okay? And because most of us here are solopreneurs, we don't have the luxury of having a portfolio of products that that gives us kind of the depth across different economic environments. Let me explain what I mean. So in my corporate consulting career, okay, we had a business that had multiple different departments, okay, that sold lots of different things. So when times were really, really good, people will spend a lot on marketing, for example, okay, and really creative marketing and all of the things, okay. When times were really bad, a lot of companies were going insolvent, okay. So we had an insolvency practice that was helping people manage their administration or pay off their creditors. And overall, those two things as examples balanced each other out so that we basically always made money, okay? When you're a solopreneur, you can't do that. You actually have to just focus. If you want to have a long and illustrious business career, okay, you need to be selling the thing that people are buying. So that might feel like a really strategic sort of business thing, but I want you to also think about why this is important from an energetic perspective, okay? Which is that really critical problems, which I'll give you some examples of what I mean by this, are the problems or the outcomes that are going to have the biggest impact on raising collective consciousness at this moment in time, okay? They are the most relevant problems. That's what this is all about. This is about relevance. Okay, so you need your offer to become more relevant. You want to be at the forefront of what is going to be making the biggest difference to our collective experience here, okay? So let me give you a few examples on how to really do this, right? How to make your offer irresistible in this environment, right? Number one, and some of you guys are going to roll your eyes at this, okay? Because it's like the standard advice. But let me tell you this, as someone who's a very stubborn person and has a hard head, some of this stuff I really tried to ignore, and I've just come back to it as being actually this is correct. So if you have a hard head like me and you're very stubborn, I want you to trust me, okay? I'm not even taking your money for this. I want you to trust me as we go on this journey together that I'm not going to lead you wrong. This is the way, okay? So the categories of things that we want to be focused on are health, wealth, and relationships, okay? These are the overarching categories that contain the critical problems, the life and death problems, or the life-changing outcomes, okay? If your offer isn't targeting one of these, we need to have a look at it and do a bit of a makeover on the offer to make sure that it does, okay? So I want you to think about the experiences in your own life and how they have changed you, right? And I'm talking particularly to those of you who are practitioners in a really broad area. So you're doing some overarching life coaching, or you're doing something like that. Like it needs to become very specific. So the experiences in our life that have really changed us, that are the ones that we are more likely to want to spend money on, right? That create problems that we are probably going to pay for. So things like experiencing a loss in the family, a death in the family, divorce, losing a job, okay, meeting the one, wanting to meet the one, yeah, trying for a baby, having a baby, right? These are all, you know, wanting to become financially free, becoming financially free. These create big problems, okay, and big outcomes. Wanting to start a business or scale a business, leaving a cult or a domestic violence situation, okay, issues with children in their development and their education, mental health crises, depression, anxiety, all of these are, this is what people care about, okay? And if we're not speaking to these things, we need to go beyond just wanting to express ourselves in our business and think about, is my business really set up to really help people? So coming back to the three things I talked about in the beginning about impact, income, and independence, all of these things follow impact. Okay, and we don't always get to decide how to create impact. People will tell us what's impactful for them. Yeah. So now let me just deal with one other thing here. If you follow a lot of other people online and you're seeing that they're not following these rules, this is for a couple of reasons, and they seem to be successful. Okay, one is they've been doing this a very long time, so they are relying on legacy. They've got a legacy audience, a legacy business. Okay. Two, what they're actually selling is aspiration, lifestyle. So people are looking at them thinking, I want to be like them. So it might look like they're selling an offer, but they're not selling an offer. They're selling themselves. And that's a very, very different thing. It might on the surface look like a very similar to a business to yours, but it's not a similar business to yours, okay? So I want you to leave the really big influencers, the very big practitioners just alone as we go on this journey. Just leave them alone. They don't have anything useful for you to learn from, right, in the big picture in terms of like where you are in business right now, okay? So that is one of the ways you can create an irresistible offer, right, which is thinking about those big categories and some of those life-changing experiences that sit underneath it, okay? The second piece, and this is really gold, okay, is you want to stack a couple of these together, okay? So don't just focus on one of these categories, focus on a couple. And this has everything to do with how you position your offer. So let me give you an example. So I call this niche stacking, by stacking your skills. And if you haven't thought about this before, this is something I want you to really give some thought to. So let me give you an example. So a lot of us are in the sort of the purpose area. I'm in the purpose area, talk about destiny and all of the things, okay? This is the secret about a purpose type of offer. Most people are really looking for their purpose for some other reason. Okay, so for a lot of people, it's actually about money. So they're like, I want to find my purpose. What they really mean is, I want to make more money and I want to do it in a way that feels aligned, which is a lot of what I talk about. Okay, but for some other people, it's something else. So it might be that I'm in a career, I'm neurodivergent, for example, which I am, and actually I just can't mask anymore, any longer, and I'm getting to an age now where it's becoming very difficult, and I actually don't feel like I can keep my job and my sanity at the same time unless I start to do something that lights me up. That is actually a health thing. Okay, that's about mental health. And so the positioning, when you combine these positionings together, okay, so really starting to understand what are the drivers, what are the angles, why do people want this thing, and stacking a couple of them together is going to be the secret to creating an irresistible offer, okay? Now I'm going to give you one more example about how to create an irresistible offer because I wanted this to be really practical for you. So the third thing I want you to think about is stop exclusively focusing on a modality. This is what a lot of us do in this world of spirituality, okay? Whether it's breath work, whether it's energy healing, it's some kind of shiny thing that we do. Modalities do not make money, guys. They do not make money. I don't know how else to tell you, but directly, I'm going to be very direct with you guys, okay? There are some circumstances in which they do make money, and I'm going to share with you where and how so that you can think about this for your offer, okay? Number one, in general, modalities work when they're positioned to solve some other problems. So it comes back to the niche stacking that I was talking about, okay? But one is if the modality is positioned as a business or career opportunity, okay? So this means that the people who are teaching you to leverage breathwork as a way for you to become a coach and make money, they are making money, okay? They are making money from breathwork, teaching you how to become a breathwork practitioner, okay? The other way that it can work is if you position it as something for wealthy entrepreneurs. So let me give you an example. Let's stay with that example, like of breathwork. If you are positioning it as a way for a millionaire entrepreneur to increase their productivity, right, to make more money, okay, and then you kind of become associated with that particular world, it can make money in that way, okay? But it comes back to my sphere of influence that I was talking about earlier. So the thing is, we can do all of the manifestation and all of the things, but we can't manifest our way around human nature. Human beings care about their biggest problems, okay? So this is the path to the 6 figures. It's solving these kind of problems, okay? So we're going to try and, if we do have a modality, we're going to link it with another problem. We're going to niche stack it like I was describing, and that's going to help us create an irresistible offer, right? So I think that's everything I have to say right now on Destiny Offer. Put a 1 to 5 in the chat based on what I've just said there. Do you feel like you have a Destiny Offer? Yeah. Right. So number 3. Okay. Number 3. In general, I'm going to kind of combine some of these next bits together. We need business rituals, okay? So what I said in the class we talked about vibration is 100K is very much about going pro, right? It's about going pro. So this means we are not throwing spaghetti at the wall anymore. We have processes that are repeatable, that we can rely on and we assure get us to the outcome that we need, okay? So the business rituals that the way that I conceptualize it are around 4 things, yeah, the 4 T's: how we get traffic, how we build trust, how we create triggers, okay, so this is about conversion, and then how we actually transform people. So if we start with traffic and trust first, lead rituals, you need a repeatable process and system for generating leads in your business, okay? And leads are not followers, they are not your audience, okay? They are people who are interested in solving the problem that you solve and are interested in buying that from you, okay? They're interested people that you can then sell to, right? Okay, so put a 1 to 5 in the chat if you feel like you have a repeatable process for generating leads in your business, people who are interested in buying your stuff, okay? So if you have nailed your offer, this is the problem that most people really struggle with. They're like, I don't know how to generate leads consistently in my business, okay? So I'm going to give you, yeah, so this I think is resonating with people, right? So these are some things that I want you to think about when it comes to -1, Laurie. These are some things I want you to think about when it comes to leads, right? Number 1, I want you to rethink growing an audience. So a lot of people will maybe have come across this idea that social media is changing, right? And I'm going to talk mostly about social because that's my special interest, right, in terms of how we grow there. But there are lots of other ways to grow, and you can grow offline as well. But I'm going to use social as an example. A lot of people are talking about how we're moving away from social media to interest media, right? And I think this is definitely true, right? The content becomes more important than the person, okay? So you kind of don't need to grow an audience, okay? There are a lot of people that I interact with on social media who I do not follow, even people who I've bought from that I don't follow, okay? It doesn't matter who follows you. What matters is whether they come into your world, then they come into a space where then you can then convert them to a buyer, okay? I don't like the word conversion, but I haven't thought of a better word, so these are the words that we're going to use. So this means that you need to know which content to post to generate leads. You need to know, you need to really think about how you can strategically use lead magnets, or what I call trigger assets, yeah? You need to completely switch your focus on in terms of audience growth, right? So I was looking at something the other day. I think it might have been an ad or a post where someone was, where they were heavily leveraging curiosity, okay? Where it's like, I've generated this outcome, and you will find out all about it if you buy this thing from me, okay? People are not buying that anymore because they've seen all of this stuff before. So you really need to think about, how can you help solve someone's problem at the beginning as evidence, okay, so that they can then become interested in you, particularly if you're new and you're trying to balance a 9-to-5 alongside all of this, right? So I'm going to come on to that a little bit more in a second. So number one, rethink growing an audience. Number two, I want you to rethink selling on social. So this might be a bit mind-blowing from some of you who are like, you're trying to use social media to sell. A lot of people who are being successful on social media are not directly selling on social media. So what do I mean by that? They might advertise their stuff there and post things about come and buy my thing. But what's happening in the background isn't that, actually. They're using another mechanism, okay, to actually convert those people. To sell directly from social, like just off a post, is a sort of Olympic level content, yeah, which most people can't do. And I'll give you another way of like how you can use social, but most people are not buying directly from content, particularly mid-ticket offers, which is probably what a lot of you will have, okay? So I want you to rethink that. Rethink selling directly on social, yeah? The content that you want to be posting in general is, you want to be talking about your system, and I'm going to come on to that a little bit later. What is your unique system for solving people's problem? You want to be laser focused on the problem. This is one thing that I've noticed has changed on social a lot in the last year, is that you have to be more specific, much more specific around the problem that people want to solve, because people have seen everything all before and everything is now becoming more urgent. So if you're not in that kind of direct space of like helping people solve problems every day that you're posting something, delivering mini transformations through your content, you're just not going to get the attention and the traffic that you need, okay? And then number three, right, generating leads, is you want to rethink lead magnets, okay? So you want to rethink growing an audience, you want to rethink selling on social, and you want to rethink lead magnets. So they are not just a way to build your email list, okay? They are a way for you to start helping your prospective clients now, solve a particular problem now, okay? So gone are the PDFs, gone are the masterclasses that don't deliver any genuine value or support. You need to create something that's highly, highly valuable to people, okay? There was someone who was asking the other day, they were feeling bad about putting out a freebie that they felt should be paid. Put out the thing that you think should be paid. That's the level of value that we need to be giving, not because it's just energetic exchange, which it is. It's because giving value is the highest form of evidence that you can deliver value. It's just evidence of what it is that you're saying that you can give people, and that's what people need. It's kind of, it's pushing the evidence outside of the door rather than keeping it for your container, okay? Number four, I want you to just become known, thinking about being highly visible. And to do all of this, you need to have a repeatable system, okay? In terms of how you get attention. Some of this is about studying what content really makes a difference. And I have another class, if you haven't seen it, on high converting content, which I might post after this one, which goes into a lot more detail in the types of content you should post that's going to generate leads for you and generate sales. Okay, so Anything else I want to say about leads? I think that's it, but if you have questions, we'll pick them up at the end. Okay, and so then the other bit of the process then is the sales rituals, and this links to the leads piece, right? In sales rituals, we're talking about how do we turn leads into buyers. Okay, now I am only going to recommend one process to do this year. There are many ways that you can do this. You can do sales calls, you can try to convert people directly from content, you can try to sell in the DMs, you can try outreach, you can try selling from stage. There are multiple different ways that you can do this, but the way that I think will work for most people in 2026 is to do it with a live class or live streaming. Why do I say this? Okay, goes back to this idea of a trust recession. Okay, you want the fastest possible path to get people to understand what you are about, to understand what you do and how you solve the problem, to demonstrate your expertise, to show your personality so people can determine whether they resonate with you. Okay, so there are, and you want to be able to do this at scale. So that is the other thing, particularly if you're balancing this with a corporate job or something else, you don't have a lot of time. So you want all of your sales vehicles to work really hard for you. And the best way to do that is in a class, a masterclass, a workshop, a live event of some description. And they don't need to be complicated. You don't need to follow the 10,000 pieces that are inside a script of some of the things that they, you don't need to do the Russell Brunson thing, okay? It's not required. You just need to solve somebody's problem, and then you need to talk about your offer. It's very simple. So this is the number one method that I'm recommending. When I did only one-to-one, so VIP days primarily, I still sold probably 60% of them out doing classes every month. I'd have a certain number of slots available and I would sell most of them out during those classes. Okay, so it works even if you have a one-to-one model. Okay, so that's sales rituals. Okay, and the thing about having this is that then you can just rinse and repeat. I know that I need to get leads every single day, right? I want to get leads daily by knowing what content to post and by telling people about my class, right? And then just put people in the class every single month, right? Or however often you want to do it. And then I fill up my books. It's actually really very simple. If you can do this consistently, repeatably, you'll smash through the ceiling, right? So coming back to what I was saying about social and how to use it, these two things work together. You want to be using social to point people to your free trigger asset, yeah, which actually probably should be a masterclass or a workshop. It can be something else as well, but point them there, because people are no longer coming to social media, if they ever were, to learn anything or to solve a problem. They are coming to escape their problems, okay? They're coming to escape their problems. So you want to take them somewhere else, whether that's your email list or an event, a class, and then you want to solve their problem there. So this is the way that we want to use social media, okay? These two things work together. Right, so that's lead rituals and sales rituals. So then the last piece that you need to have in your business plan. So yeah, give me a 1 to 5 if you feel like you have a sales mechanism that is repeatable in terms of converting your leads. Yeah. So then the last piece that I want to talk about is client rituals. Yeah. Client rituals. So this is all about having a repeatable process for delivering client results. Yeah. And client results then turn into repeat buyers and referrals, which then becomes a flywheel in your business. So you're not only having to rely on social or other means to acquire customers. Okay. The more your customers stay, if you have the type of offer where it makes sense for that to be the case, the less effort you need to do on your marketing, okay? So this is the most important of all of the things, right, is being able to deliver client results repeatedly, and it links very much to the offer. Most people do not know how to deliver transformation. They only think they do, okay? And so part of the reason for this is because A, they're not solving a big enough problem. for their clients, a life-changing outcome or a life and death problem, okay, the destiny offer, or it's because they do not have a repeatable framework for delivering client results, okay? And having been in consulting for such a long time, this is all we did. Transformations upon transformations, multi-million-pound transformations of entire organizations, taking them from one state to another, okay? So transformation is one of my special skills, okay? So they might not have a framework. You want to have a framework that delivers results repeatably, right? Not only do you want to leverage it for delivering client results, you want to use this as the basis of your content. So when people talk about content pillars and all of the things, I just think they build them incorrectly. You just want your content to be about your system primarily, okay? Especially if you are not a massive influence, you don't have a big audience, you are not selling lifestyle. These are the two things that you can really be selling online, okay? Your system or your lifestyle or your story, okay? So you really want your content to be around your system, your framework, and the results that you have given people, okay? So the other reason why people often don't deliver transformation, okay, is because they do have a framework, but that framework is only delivering surface level transformation. So one of the things that I teach in constructing your destiny offer is how to deliver the transformation behind the transformation. Because what you're going to end up doing when you create your system is you're going to create 6 steps or whatever for people to do, or 4 steps or whatever the steps are. And unless you are doing a done for you type of solution, your clients are not going to do those things, okay? Or they're going to do them inconsistently. And what you want to do is you want to create a framework that deals with that scenario as well, right? So that you ensure that they're getting the results, okay? So what I'm talking about today is a system, okay? The system is the center of everything. So these are the elements, guys, okay, in terms of what you want to be thinking about. The other piece on client rituals is client experience. So it's not just what you deliver, but how you deliver it, how people feel when they come into your world, okay? You want to think about the experience from an emotional perspective as well as like the what. So it's the what and the how, yeah? So it's just 5 things. It's very, very simple. That's all you need to do. Very, very simple. We're going to do these things, okay? We are going to work on making sure we are a vibrational match to the number that we want. And if we feel like we're not, we're going to use some energetic tools to change that, which I talked about a couple of classes ago. We are going to have an irresistible destiny offer that solves real problems that are going to impact the collective, okay? And we're not going to be afraid to kill our darlings sometimes, okay? Because business is not just a self-expression project. It's about working with people and what they need as well, okay? Then we're going to have some business rituals. We're going to have a repeatable process for generating leads by knowing what content to post or finding out a system that works for us. And we're going to have a trigger asset that basically makes people want to work with us because we're solving their problem ahead of time. Okay, then we are going to have a repeatable process where we put them into a class, okay, or a live event, and we are solving their problem ahead of time, showing our expertise, and then we're going to present our offer. And then once they come and buy, we're going to have a repeatable framework for delivering them the results. That's going to make them a repeat customer and refer us, okay? And then we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about all of that stuff on social media again, and that's going to impact our vibration. And this is just a beautiful flywheel that makes it very, very easy for us to generate momentum, okay? Particularly if we don't have a lot of time. So give me a 1 to 5 on if you feel like you have the client rituals piece down. You've got a repeatable framework for delivering client results. Yeah. Okay, and some of you have this, but what you're not doing is leveraging that then into your content. Yeah, you're not talking about it. I know that I definitely have this problem. It's like I'm just not talking about the things. Okay. Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to give you a little bit of homework. I've decided homework is going to be part of these classes, and then I'm going to take some questions. Okay. So If you haven't already been rating yourself against each element, I want you to do that, okay? And if you already have an offer, what I want you to do is take what I've talked about today, and I want you to make your offer irresistible. Yeah, I want you to make your offer irresistible. So that is the homework for this class. Hopefully this has given you a sense of what you need to work on, right? You've been scoring yourself as you go along, and you can see the place that you actually need to spend your time and focus. Okay, so that is the homework. If you do not have an offer yet, and you're like, all of this makes sense, but I still don't know what I'm meant to be selling, okay, don't worry, I've got you. We are in another class going to do this in our Destiny Offer Discovery workshop, okay, and we're going to go through these elements. We'll go through your story, and I will show you how to come up with some Destiny offers that you can then test and validate in the market, okay? For the guys who are in the Destiny program with me, that class is going to help us prepare, right, for the implementation intensive, where we will write all of this stuff together. Right, so I feel like I've been talking a lot. I have been. So the final thing that I want to say is this challenge that I have committed to, which scares the hell out of me, but it's good to do things that scare you, is very, very important to me. And it has made me think about what is the difference between this work that I'm doing here and what I'm going to be doing in the paid program, okay? Because there is a difference, but I want everyone to have access to the information that's going to help them do it. If you execute on this stuff, you will get there, okay? But doing it this way, where I'm sharing the content like this, is going to allow me more time and space to help hands-on with the application of it. So if you're in the program with me, we are going to be focusing on the application of this, where I can give you personalized feedback and recommendations, because all of these strategies need customization for where you are, okay? So we're going to get to know each other very well, and I'll know your business very intimately, and we will spend the time refining things as we test. So that's the real difference, and this is going to give me more time to focus on those people, right? If you are interested in joining, I'm going to reopen it properly. I might open it for a day today, I'm thinking about it, but I will open it again in a couple of weeks' time, and we will accept some more people for another onboarding call. So that is all I had to go through today. Right, questions. We'll do some questions now. I think I saw some questions coming through already, actually. Let me stop sharing. If you have a question, just you can raise your hand. Laurie.
Yes, hello everyone. My question is whether, because when I hear you say the words, don't focus on your modality, it's about your framework, my brain gets it. And then when I try to think of it myself, it's like, those are the same thing. And I know they're not. It's like a brain thing. Can you riff on what would be the modality versus a framework, right? So like I get that breath work is a modality, but I think what I'm really coming at is when I was trying to position my business as like the improvisational comedy, that was a modality, but I also had a framework that was certain steps or rules of that. And I know I'm like slightly stepped to the side of that, but those practices could still inform the inner parent work. So I think, yeah, I'm just curious on, is the point of a framework is that it's something that only you as the person could do, or is it also okay?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So when I say modality, I mean like the shelf thing. So it might be that I am a tarot practitioner, right? Or I do breath work, or I do EFT. EFT was like the big thing for a while. Everyone was doing tapping. Okay, no one cares about that. They care about solving their particular problem. And so what your framework is designed to do is explain your unique way of solving that problem based on your experience, your personal story, what you've gone through, etc. And it is pointed at a very, very specific problem. So the issue with the modality as well is that it doesn't tell me anything about what problem you solve with that modality. It just tells me how you do something. Okay, so if we've designed our unique framework appropriately, it is telling me not just how you solve the problem, but what problem you are solving. Yeah, cool. Let's see, let me open the queue. Sasha.
Hey, it's Lola, right?
Yeah.
Lola. All right. Thank you so much for this. This has been like, I love structure. I'm a systems girl, so I love structure. My question is, I asked it in the chat, but is the lead magnet separate from the live event that you're doing, or are they one and the same thing?
Yeah, really good question. So your live is a lead magnet too, but you can have other ones as well. So if you say you run your class monthly, right? Say you've got a signature class, and there's lots of different ways to do it, but say you have a signature class that you run monthly, that you know that's my conversion mechanism. You can use that as a lead magnet, and you will generate leads that way, advertising it. But you might want to have others that you promote like during the course of the month as well, which could be something else. So if you only wanted to do the class, just do the class, right? Yeah, depending on what works for your business. I do lots of classes and they're all lead magnets, okay? If I decide to do them that way, that's the most efficient way. Just make the class the lead magnet and just do that often in your business, because it's solving a problem, because that's the whole idea. It's solving the problem for someone. Yeah, cool. Any other questions, or anyone want to raise their hand and ask one? Let me look in the chat as well. Sam, does that space open periodically? Yeah, no. It will open periodically. So yeah, the Destiny program I'm planning on opening periodically. Okay. I'm on the fence about whether or not to open it today at the introductory price that I had, right? Maybe. I'm still thinking about it. So I'm not going to decide on this call because I don't have to, because it's my business. But it will open periodically. So I don't want you to think that you've missed out. You have another opportunity to join in the future for sure. Okay. Any other questions? Ashley.
Do you know yet when we're going to do the Destiny Discovery call?
I think it's going to be next week. I think this time next week. Yeah. Because I want to make sure you guys have it in time for the intensive, which I think is the 16th.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it'll be super soon.
All right. Thanks.
Any other questions? Was this helpful? Let me know. Yeah. And let me know if you feel confident that we can achieve this goal. Every week I want to increase our confidence. Yeah, Laurie's like, we're in it, we're doing it. Okay, great. Wonderful. So lovely to see all of you. We will go through each of the elements in more detail, right, every week, right? We're only doing this, right, this year in these classes. We're going to be very, very focused. And what I've discovered is that focus is like the king of all things, right? If you decide I'm going after, and you are here, so you have decided, okay? It's just a matter of time. So lovely to see all of you. I shall see you next week. If you have any other questions, post them in the group, and I shall see you again. Happy New Year, everyone. Bye.